Okay, what's up YouTube? This is RJ, the computer doctor, and I'm back with another video. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys an update on the company that I started called Mana AI LLC. If you're someone who's actually going to start a business, this video is going to help save you some frustration and also have a different perspective on starting your own business. So as many of you guys may know, if you're subscribed to my channel, and this is a reminder, some of you guys aren't subscribed, so please subscribe if you aren't. But I started this AI service company where I'm providing AI services to businesses. And the first thing that I'm doing is trying to get into the door with creating websites for companies. So I have a PhD in computer science, working as an AI research engineer for the University of Hawaii at Manoa. So I know I have the expertise to provide the high level of support to customers, but I think just contacting businesses with a basic website and scaling up to providing as much value as I can to them is the direction that I'm going to be heading towards. And it seems like it's working so far. So I'm just going to go into the process of how I'm doing that. I've been creating websites for a few clients. I've actually worked with a hairstylist, a DJ in Hawaii. I also worked with another hairstylist and her salon page. I'm also working with a barbershop, creating his website, and he also has a bar connected to it, so I'm going to be creating 2 websites for him. And then I have a friend who has a lei making service company. So if you're someone on the island of Kauai and you want to get a new lei made for you, handmade, and her leis look really beautiful, and if the website comes out, I'll leave the link down below in the description, but that's only until it's finished, so it may or may not be there. Okay, and then so far I made $0. But I learned so much in this past 6 months, and hopefully if you're someone who is maybe in the same boat as me, then we can resonate with each other and know that you're not alone. Okay, so let me break down what I did and what I'm changing. Okay, so step 1 is that you need to contact people and provide your services for free. I tried contacting people on free services. I got better responses that way. And then I went towards the direction of telling people that they need to pay for my services. I did some experiments with the way I was contacting people, warm outreach, cold outreach, and most of the time I got 0 responses. So I think there's something still missing of where I can pivot from having clients where I am not charging them and then moving towards start charging clients. So once you have a set of clients that maybe they're paying you, maybe they're not paying you, the second step is to do the work for them. So I made some websites for them. Maybe I'll do a little compilation up here just to show you guys all the different websites that I made. The most recent one I'm working on is with the barbershop. So I spent a lot of time on this website. I did dynamically loading the images, making sure that it's optimized and it's loading very quickly, even if you would have slow internet. And then step 3, instead of me trying to contact more people, I'm now looking towards the direction of how can I provide AI services for the actual clients that I'm currently working with. And I guess it depends on what clients you're working with. So for this barbershop, for example, I'm working with someone who is very motivated, who knows their numbers, who knows what they're doing. They even had a suggestion of asking businesses for a P&L, asking them what was their net profit average for the past few months, and then seeing what value you added to them when you completed your services for them, and then you can ask for a percentage of their profit. So the person who told me to do that to other businesses, I'm actually going to contact him and seeing if I can provide as much value to him as I possibly can. Hopefully I can make a decent size chunk out of that value that I'm adding for him. And then once I get that pinwheel of providing value, then I can learn to systematize it. I can hire some employees and then scale up as much as possible. That's the dream. Okay, so here's another lesson that I learned so far. Lesson number 1, businesses are too busy even for free. So back to step 1 of contacting businesses and trying to even offer services for them. I've realized that by talking to this barbershop client of mine, since he's running multiple businesses, I've met with him in person. So he showed me his phone at night, and he actually gets like over 100 messages a day from other businesses contacting him, trying to provide services for him. So if you're someone who is finding it hard to get in touch with these businesses to get them to pay you. Even if you provided some of those services for free to them, depending on how successful they are, they might not even have the time to give you the attention that you need. What I'm realizing is, especially when you're designing this website, you're gonna need some photos from them. You're gonna need to have some copy from them. You need to go back and forth with, do you like this about the website? What do you not like? There's a lot of back and forth and time that is spent for your client. You really need to have proof in order for a business to take you seriously and start giving you the time that you need. So businesses, I think, work a little bit differently with people. So when you're selling to consumers, I hear a lot of people that's telling you to market towards them through an emotion. So in consumers, people are emotional buyers, which they don't need to have too much of the return on an investment of the numbers of how much value you provide to them, because at the end of the day, it's all numbers for businesses. So consumers are more emotional buyers. For example, if you were to see streetwear, there's these popular streetwear brands. There's Supreme, there's Stussy, there's also designer brands, Louis Vuitton, Chanel. So a lot of these brands, they're not actually adding value to you. It's just the image that you would get if you were to be wearing those clothes. And in business eyes, if you're wearing those types of clothes, it's not actually adding value to you. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, tip number one is don't assume that free is an easy yes, especially to businesses, because businesses don't have time to give you. Free still costs time for businesses, especially, might be the most expensive thing that you're asking for. Lesson number two, businesses don't want a website, they want more customers, they want more revenue, or they want more time. Like I said in lesson number one, you need to try and figure out what value you're going to be adding to that client of yours. So that is through either adding more customers to them, adding more revenue, or giving them more time by making other things faster. Okay, so even when I was talking to the barbershop client, he was giving me a whole bunch of ideas of how I could start doing marketing. So just to give you an example, this barbershop client of mine was spending $50 a Instagram post for someone to come in and just do a quick video, and then they would post it on their Instagram. If you had a few Instagram ideas, you can film them all in an hour, and then the barber would pay you $50 per Instagram video or image. And I think I started off contacting these other businesses, having a wrong idea. I think I'm just a little bit inexperienced on what kind of value businesses are actually looking for. So if I was going to businesses saying I can get a custom website with AI services offered for you, not a lot of businesses know what AI services are out there. So then you need to advertise yourself as someone who's providing more value, more customers, or decreasing the time it takes them for perform a certain activity through AI features. So I'm just in the process of trying to figure out what AI services I can provide businesses that help provide value to them. So then there's a few ideas that I can do for a barbershop. And if you're someone who is trying to provide AI services for someone, here's a few ideas that you can try. For my clients in particular, I'm setting up an Instagram automation service. I notice a lot of websites, they're very plain. They're made with WordPress or Squarespace. But if you're using custom code and the person that you're contacting has a very big online presence in Instagram, I can actually set up an automation that grabs the Instagram posts from the user's profile and put them onto the website. Pop it up on the screen here, where you can have this slow flowing videos of their Instagram reels. It just makes it look a little bit more dynamic and appealing. And it also provides social proof for the person who is looking at your website. Another thing that I'm doing is availability tracking. For example, the barbershop client that I'm working with, what he wants to do is he wants to fill up his barber seats throughout the weekday to make it look more busy in there. What you can do is dynamically fetch a barber schedule, see who is available or who canceled, and then dynamically update the website to be like, hey, there's someone who is free in the next hour. Here's a discount that you can use in order to get a haircut at a cheaper price. So hopefully this will improve the amount of people who are getting haircuts within the barbershop. And then the end goal will just to have more of his seats filled. So another thing that I'm building is face detection tool for certain haircuts that go well with certain face shapes. I'm trying to build an AI service that looks at your face, analyzes your facial structure, tells you what your face shape is, and it has a few haircuts to show you. I'm building out the whole marketing flow of how that would look like. I'm going to test it out hopefully in the next month or so if I can get everything working correctly. And hopefully I can provide value that I can systematize and provide to others. So those are 3 different ways you can add value through providing AI services. Tip number 2 in this is to stop selling the things that you make and start selling the outcome that you'll give them. So lesson number 3 is that the sales timeline takes much longer than you think. So for me in particular, it might be the way that I was contacting people. So I did cold outreach and I did warm outreach. I contacted around 30 people. A lot of them were warm outreach. So I did a split of trying to provide my services for free versus providing my services with a price. A lot of the time, most people are too busy to even give you a response. So they won't even give you the light of day to tell you no. So that goes back to lesson number 1, where businesses are just too busy to contact you back. And you actually need to have some social proof in order to get a client, or you may need to reach out to more people than you think in order to get your first paying client. And the only people who really contacted me back were people who I was doing warm outreach and I was offering my services for free. So those were actually the only people who contacted me back. And for each one of them, I completed creating a website for them. And in one of those cases was the barbershop owner, and that was the person who I am going to be going all in with and providing as much value as I can. So this gets into tip number 3, which is whatever timeline you think you need to get your first paying client, multiply that by 3 and maybe 5, because you need to just contact more people than you think. Okay, and lesson number 4 is that you can't do everything yourself. So I am getting to a point where I'm almost getting burned out and I'm starting to understand how much work it is to go into contacting people and going into actually building the website. So this is where I need to be very focused with my time and what I spend my resources on. Because since I work full-time as an AI research engineer, I'm working 40 hours a week for my job. I don't like mixing things that I'm doing for my own business with my university job. I just don't feel good about it. And recently I just had a child, so I'm going to be spending more time with my child. So I'm coming into reality that I need to be spending my time on the things that will actually be generating me money or things that will be generating social proof for me. Since I have this one client, it took me so long to even find a worthy client that I can provide value to. I'm just going to provide as much value as I can to him specifically. So tip number 4 is accept that you're going to be bad at most parts of running your business. And that's okay, but you need to prioritize which skills you're going to be focusing on. And those are probably skills that you have built in the past. So I think there's a level of expertise, especially when you're starting off, when you have this knowledge of how everything works within the business, how marketing works, how the sales portion works. Even though I'm still not really good at it, I see where Alex Hormozi is coming from when he gave that story about how he started marketing. Alex Hormozi tells this story all the time where he was trying to start a business and he was going up to cars, putting their flyers on 300 cars, and at the end of the day no one ended up calling him back. So at that point he felt pretty defeated, and then he went to meet this other person and told them this marketing stuff isn't working. And then that person who told him to do marketing like that in the first place said, well, what did you test with? And then he told him I did 300. And then the other person says 300, we test with 5,000. And then when we do a whole lot more. So in this case, it's following the same sort of pattern where you need to do more than you think that you need to do. And it's not something special. There's a lot of people who is doing web design nowadays, especially with all these AI tools. So I need to find a way to separate myself from all the people who is just asking businesses to set up a website for them, and maybe try to provide value as fast and quick as I can. Okay, then once you have this knowledge of how everything works and you have an idea of how to run your business, then you can start to be more resourceful and try to build on the expertise that you already have. So in my case, that is actually doing software engineering and AI services. So I can learn how to build a funnel that uses AI capabilities, and hopefully that'll work out for businesses in the future. Okay, so lesson number 5, and this is a huge one, is to talk to people who's actually done it. And it doesn't need to be people who are within the same service of what you are trying to do. I think that will definitely help. But even for me, just talking to someone who is another entrepreneur who actually built a business. In my case, that was the barbershop owner that I was talking to. So he has actually 5 different businesses that he's running. And I have an idea of what I want to do for my business, but I don't actually have the confidence or the entrepreneurial knowledge of how everything is going to work in a business format. So for me in particular, I've worked with a few clients and I don't know how to really do the pricing portion of it. And that was really a bottleneck of trying to actually make money, because if I were to contact people through warm outreach and cold outreach, I don't even get a response back. He gave me some advice that was actually an idea that I thought of the day before, which is to contact businesses and get a P&L from them, which is how much profit they're making per month. And then whatever profit you're adding to them as a result of creating a website or starting some sort of marketing portion for them, then you can get a percentage of what profit that they're making. Around the 10% of the profit would be something that is appropriate. So in my eyes, that really stood out to me, because I can't go through just making websites for free for so many people. There needs to be a point where I'm actually charging people. And hearing this from the barbershop owner really opened up my eyes to seeing what I actually need to do and focus on. As a result of meeting with my clients, I got so much valuable information. And on top of that, he also cut my hair for free. So thank you to Vintage Barbershop Hawaii for sponsoring my haircut and giving me some really good business advice. So that brings me to the last tip, which is to find someone who's around 2 to 3 steps ahead of you. Talk to them, ask them about your journey. And if you're someone like me who's been watching a lot of YouTube videos, especially if you're watching Alex Hormozi or Tony Robbins, hearing or talking to someone who's actually done it and is an entrepreneur is going to give you so much valuable information on how to go about conducting your business. All right, so thank you all for making it to the end of this video. And to wrap everything up, here are the 5 biggest takeaways. So number 1 is free still costs time. Businesses are very busy, and in order for you to get time out of them and to provide value to them, you need to have proven value in the past, or try to get in through warm outreach. Takeaway number 2 is to sell the outcomes, not the products. In order for you to contact those businesses, again, you need to have some sort of social proof to show them like, hey, we did this for this company who does exactly the same service as you, and we were able to increase revenue or decrease the amount of time it takes for someone to complete a certain task, and this will save you some money in the long run. Takeaway number 3 is sales takes 3 to 5 times longer than you think. So plan accordingly. If you think that you need to contact this much people in order for you to be busy, do the 10x rule from Grant Cardone and do 10 times as much as you think that you need to do in order for you to reach that goal. Number 4 is you can't do everything yourself. So I think once you have a basic knowledge of how businesses work and how you want to run your own business, then you need to really nail down on the things that you are actually really good at and start focusing on that. And if you need to hire contractors to fill up time, to contact people, or to do marketing, then you should contact them and spend the money there, because time is a valuable resource. And the biggest takeaway for number 5 is to try and find someone who's actually done it. So go out, and if you're on LinkedIn or if you're on Instagram, whenever you see an ad or something, you can contact them. And more than likely, if it's also an entrepreneur and you're just contacting them for business advice, I think they'll be happy to give you some advice, because I think as entrepreneurs, the way that they see people who are a little bit more on the beginner side, of course you want to try and help them as much as you can. Especially for me, in my case, I graduated with some peers who are struggling to find a software engineering job. And I know there's a lot of you out there who is in software engineering who is struggling to find a job. So what I want to do is not only provide value to businesses, I try to grow my own company, but I also want to provide jobs for all the software engineers and people who graduated from university to also have jobs. If I can find a way to systematize people who can contact businesses to try and scale them up, then I can hire all of these university students who are very hardworking and they will do anything to actually have a full-time job. That's my end goal, is actually really to provide value, creating jobs for people. That's one of the things that's pulling me towards starting my business, is not only making money and starting something of my own, but also providing these jobs that software engineers don't have. So if you are an entrepreneur and you have been watching my videos, please comment down below. I'd love to know about your journey. Maybe we can work together. I'd love to connect with people who are in the same boat as me. And if you want me to make any specific videos on the things that I'm talking about, now is a good time to ask and comment down below in this video. There was someone in particular who wanted me to go through C++ and embedded systems, but I haven't been able to get to that yet, because I'm not a C++ expert and I just had a child, so I'm pressed on time right now. But hopefully in the future, when I do have time, I'll get to that video. Don't worry, I still have you in the back of my mind. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.